Hey, what's going on, little dragons? How are you feeling today? If you guys are feeling good, please do let me know down in the comments below. Drop a like on this video, my little dragons, and share this video with your friends and family. And don't forget to punch that subscribe button, as it will help your little dragon out so very much. Today, we've got another history lesson, man. I'm really enjoying these, man. I've seen a couple of these before. It's better we look at these sort of stuff because, as well as, of course, movie reactions and all of that, these kind of things, it's good to get educated. And for some reason, when I was in school, I never really liked like history and geography and philosophy and all these things. I've always like neglected them. I was like, nah, it's just nonsense. Like, who wants to learn these things? The most important things are like the maps and the science. These things are important. These are just excuses. I always looked at history as in just like an excuse for a subject. But growing up, it's very, very, very interesting. It's very important. A lot of things to understand. It's very important because only when you can understand the past and the causes of the past, and even what the past has to, affect the present, that's the way that you know how to change the present in a way to change and affect the future in a positive way. So that's why, when I started to realize that, I fell in love with this sort of stuff. So spirituality and stuff, I've always neglected that because, for those of you who don't know, I do class myself as an atheist. I don't really follow along like religion or anything. I've never really done so. But more to like spirituality, I've always like neglected as well, because I was like, there is no such thing as a soul. There's none of that. We're dying. We're dead. There's no mind. There's none of these like things, and that's very, in my language they say, if you choose to stick yourself in one small circle, then you're never going to go anywhere, right? You're putting the limits to yourself. There's more to understand. What you learn is like a drop of water, and what's out there is a freaking ocean. So it's vast. It's crazy how much there's out there. So take in all the knowledge, understand, listen, and then decide for yourself if it's yes or no. So in that sense, like spirituality, these things I do, I'm listening and I'm like, I take the bits that I find, okay, this sounds great, this is kind of right, and I take that in and neglect the things that I don't agree with. And same with like history stuff. A lot of these are very interesting, and it's a good mindset, and some things give you like goosebumps. It's like the same effect that you get when you watch your favorite superhero in movies and stuff. When you're listening to this guy, like, the deadliest sniper that we saw the other day, was it Simohaya? That was fire. I got goosebumps. All my hair was like, it's goosebumps, but it's goosebump moment. So yes, so today we're going to be reacting to, hold up, the title. What was the title? I want to read the title exactly. Biggest encirclement in history, Battle of Kiev. Animated history, right? Kiev, for those of you who don't know, this is the, I don't know much about it. I know it's the capital of Ukraine. I don't know, I think, I forgot where I heard, I think it was in school that somewhere I heard this, man, not somewhere, but I know it's the capital of Ukraine. I don't really know much about it. I think one Call of Duty game was like based on Ukraine, wasn't it? Don't really know. But looks interesting, man. I'm guessing it's somewhere like in the 1900s. I don't think it will be in the 1800s, because yeah, I have a feeling I don't know anything about it, but I have a feeling it's more in like 1900s, like maybe like 30s or something, maybe 40s or something. Before way before, obviously way before I was born, but I think before even my parents were born. So okay, I'm not gonna waste any more time. So let's hop right into this education. Boom, boom, boom. Let's roll. That's a very long video. I'm not gonna pause it, but I'll talk over it. Kiev.
The largest encirclement in history was now complete, and there was nothing he could do to prevent the disaster that was coming. Hi, I'm Griffin Johnson, the armchair historian. During the German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, heavy fighting occurred in the Soviet Republic of Ukraine. It was there, in the ancient Ukrainian capital city of Kiev, that the Germans conducted the largest encirclement in military history, trapping over 500,000 troops and utterly collapsing the Soviet Southwestern Front.
My God.
In this video, we'll see just how this massive force was surrounded and how Soviet determination endured even as the nukes tightened around them. It's work.
Okay, I have to pause as an ad, but it's crazy because, no, again, I said this before, I don't like all this death of innocent people, man, innocent lives. That really hurts my heart. Families and all the people that have never done anything wrong to anybody, never even hurt a fly, who end up losing their homes or losing their families or losing their limbs and even worse, losing their lives. That's I don't like. Let's carry on. Okay, so we know it's the capital of Ukraine, and we know it's getting ready for a disaster. We'll see what the disaster is.
Less than 2 months after Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union, its forces had driven deep into Russian territory. After the initial success of their offensive, German forces began preparing to secure the flanks of the rapidly advancing Army Group Center and eradicate more of the enemy's forces in the north and south. To accomplish this, Adolf Hitler directed elements of Army Group Center to assist
So I knew it was like 19
in
World War II,
assaulting
yeah.
Leningrad and help Army Group South capture central Ukraine. While many of his generals were supposedly unhappy with this decision, the orders were carried out, and German forces began to advance toward the Ukrainian capital of Kiev in early August. By this time, Army Group South's invasion of Ukraine was already underway. With the reinforcements from Army Group Center, their force now consisted of 25 infantry divisions and 9 armored divisions, for a total of 544,000 men. Set against them were the forces of the Soviet Southern and Southwestern fronts, under the overall command of Marshal Semyon Timoshenko. On August 8th, the Germans finished off a pocket of Soviet troops at the town of Uman, which had been encircled in mid-July, inflicting over 200,000 casualties. With these men gone, the task of defending central Ukraine fell almost entirely on the southwestern front, consisting of 627,000 troops under General Mikhail Kirponos. After the Battle of Uman, Kirponos' forces fell back and established a strong defensive line against Army Group South along the Dnieper River, holding fast against German attacks from the west and south. On August 22nd, elements of Army Group Center crossed the Dnieper and began to besiege the city from the north. The Soviets held fast in the face of the German assault, using the strong defensive positions of the marshes north of Kiev, but Kirponos quickly recognized the dire threat of encirclement he faced. He sent a request to the Soviet High Command for permission to withdraw, but Joseph Stalin denied this request, personally ordering Kirponos to hold Kiev at all costs. Unwilling to defy orders, he had his men dig in and prepare to defend the city, even as the noose tightened around him. At the end of August, the 2nd Panzer Group and 2nd Army of Army Group Center, under the command of Heinz Guderian, overcame the Soviets' tough defenses in the north by employing the brilliant tactic of going around them, and began steadily making their way south. Initially, Kirponos was hopeful that he could fend off this attack, expecting that the German spearhead would overextend itself trying to encircle him and become vulnerable to counterattacks. In the meantime, he ordered the Bryansk front under Lieutenant General Andrei Yeryomenko to harass Guderian's tank group and slow its advance, with the eventual goal of encircling and destroying them. Although this ultimate objective was next to impossible, the Bryansk front succeeded in delaying the 2nd Panzer Group with a series of guerrilla attacks throughout late August and the first weeks of September. However, Yeryomenko's forces suffered heavy losses, and as fewer and fewer of his soldiers returned, the 2nd Panzer Group continued its advance. Any remaining hope Kirpanos may have had of stopping the encirclement was shattered when he received word that the 1st Panzer Group of Army Group South had secretly crossed the Dnieper on September 12th and was rapidly advancing northeast to meet up with their comrades from Army Group Center. These armored units rapidly cut across the rear of the southwestern front, and it soon became obvious that total encirclement of the forces in Kiev was inevitable. The Soviet staff could only relay these developments to Stalin and pray he would finally see reason. This dire news apparently woke Stalin up to the reality of the situation, and so he did what any good leader would do, designated a scapegoat to take the blame. He chose Marshal Budyonny, commander of the Soviet forces in the Ukraine and his longtime political ally. The day after the 1st Panzer Group made it across the river, Stalin unceremoniously fired Budyonny, declaring him unfit to command a modern army and relegating him to a non-combat command for the rest of his career. He was replaced by Marshal Semyon Timoshenko, who was expected to salvage the rapidly deteriorating situation. The 1st and 2nd Panzer Groups were closing in from the north and south, and nothing the Soviets threw at them could stop the armored jaws of the German wolf from closing in around Kiev. A glimmer of good news arrived on the night of the 13th.
Look at the way they
when
like
the
attack.
elements of Guderian's forces were successfully repelled from the town of Lubny. There, a ragtag force engaged the German troops, sniping from rooftops and windows and bombarding their tanks with Molotov cocktails. The fighting tied up the German division in Lubny for days, preventing them from linking up with the 1st Panzer Group and closing the encirclement. But this victory merely delayed the inevitable, and that same evening, one of Timoshenko's subordinates sent a blunt telegram to Boris Shaposhnikov, Marshal of the Red Army, which ended with the words, "This is the beginning, as you know, of catastrophe, a matter of a couple of days." Sure enough, on September 16th, Guderian's 2nd Panzer Group met up with the 1st Panzer Group in the town of Lakhvitsa, about 120 miles east of Kiev. The encirclement was complete, and 4 Soviet armies were now trapped inside the pocket. German leaders were surprised by the extent of their success and the seemingly static Soviet response. Upon hearing the news, German General Gotthard Heinrichi remarked, "In an incomprehensible manner, the Russian has left his troops to remain in a situation in the Ukraine which must result in their capture." In a truly dismal example of irony, the now encircled Soviet forces received a telegram the very next day from Marshal Shaposhnikov, finally authorizing them to withdraw from Kiev. With nowhere to run, the Soviets could do nothing but settle into their defensive positions and prepare to make the Germans pay for every mile. On September 18th,
Okay, they're now.
began to bombard Kiev.
Got the Air Force involved.
With the stated aim of reducing the city to rubble and ashes, dropping over 1.2 million pounds of bombs over the course of the battle. Meanwhile, the German ground forces systematically advanced from all directions, slowly crushing all enemy resistance. In the east, where the German line received thinnest, the Soviets made several desperate attempts to break out, but to no avail. A report to High Command on the 17th described enemy formations bounding off the encirclement ring like billiard balls. The Soviets were incredibly tenacious, fighting tooth and nail even after days of constant combat with no sleep. As lines of communication broke down, the forces remaining inside the pocket were overtaken by utter confusion, and the battle soon turned into a slaughter. The city of Kiev was finally occupied on the 19th, with Nazi flags flying above the citadel by midday. Unlike other cities,
Why can't everyone just share love?
largely destroyed on their way out. As part of their brutal scorched earth policy, Kiev was captured with much of the inner city intact.
Going to
The
give.
Nazis quickly set about occupying most important buildings,
Family death.
establishing supply depots and command headquarters, which was exactly what the Soviets had been counting on. 5 days after the Germans entered Kiev, a series of explosions shook the city as hundreds of explosives hidden by the NKVD were set off. 200 German soldiers and officers were killed, and much of the city was destroyed in the resulting firestorm. Meanwhile, fighting continued to the east of Kiev. The remnants of the southwestern front were broken up into several
How big is
separate
Kiev?
pockets, which continued to fight stubbornly, even as their officers died and their formations dissolved. General Kirpanos was forced to flee his headquarters as the Germans closed in, and wound up leading a small group of soldiers in a desperate attempt to break out of the Encirclement. The general and his haggard escort encountered the enemy 9 miles from Lostitsa, and Kirpanos died fighting alongside his men. Most of the other commanding officers were more fortunate and managed to escape with their headquarters, including Marshals Budyani and Timoshenko, along with the up-and-coming Commissar Nikita Khrushchev. Around 15,000 Soviets managed to escape with them, leaving the rest of the southwestern front to its fate. On September 26th, after 10 days of intense fighting, the last scattered remnants of the encircled forces surrendered, marking the end of the battle. In total, the Soviets lost...
If he did this before, all his lives wouldn't have been lost, would they?
...in the encirclement at Kiev.
What are those landmines?
Whole armies being completely destroyed. Over the following weeks, the Nazis in Ukraine began to massacre prisoners and civilians alike, enslaving hundreds of thousands to serve as forced laborers.
Honestly,
This atrocity
I would, if I was in that situation, I would rather keep fighting until I die than, surrender, because I don't know what they're going to do to me. They'll torture you like hell. They are going to torture me like hell, and I'm not ready to be tortured. I just want it quick. I just want it quick and gone.
people were rounded up and taken to a ravine where they were systematically forced into the ravine and shot, one small group at a time.
Family
After the massacre of Babin Yar, the ravine continued to be used as a mass grave for murdered Jews, and would claim anywhere from 40,000 to 100,000 more lives during the German occupation. The Battle of Kiev was a devastating loss for the Soviet Union, handing complete control of central Ukraine to the Germans. But even in the midst of its greatest victory, the cracks in the Nazi war machine were beginning to show. Damaged or disabled panzers outstripped the maintenance system's capacity to repair, and the lack of sufficient rail networks put a strain on German supply lines. Meanwhile, with the NKVD bombings in Kiev, the Soviets were already developing one of the tactics that would help them turn the tide of the war: scorched earth. Successful as it had been, the prolonged assault on Kiev had robbed the German invasion of its momentum, a delay that they could ill afford, as the dreaded Russian wet season, known as the Rasputitsa, would hit a little over 1 month after Kiev was secured.
Thank God we don't live in a situation like this. We don't live in any wars right now. Oh my God, it's crazy. Like, this is racism, like ownership of certain parts of certain countries. These sort of, it's like one small thing, but then pride and all these things come in between, and that causes so much, man. That causes so much. If you look at history, even past, like even then, there's even in like one religion or something, there'll be like different castes of that same religion that take up on each other and fight each other, say that mine is better than yours, your caste is not as good as mine, and that like one goes into 100, goes into 1,000, goes into 1,000,000, and people that just are not even involved, like kids and women, and just people that just live their lives, even they get pulled into this and they get killed and stuff, and that's sad, man. Innocent people, man. It's just numbers. At the end of the day, it just comes down to numbers, and that sucks, man. Each individual person has their individual life and goals, and they have emotions like me and you. And for them to lose their life and at the end of the day just be a number in the future when they're looking at historical moments, I just makes me question a lot of things, man. And I don't want to get too deep into this, but it makes me really like I know I said that humanity, being human, is amazing, but look at how many. I don't think any animals killed this much of an organism for their pride. Oh my god. For mostly their pride of just what they believe in. Just because you don't believe in the same thing as them. Wow. Yeah, so, yeah, anyways, you know, it was very, very detailed, very nicely explained. So that channel, I'll put the original video down in the description. If there's any more like on this channel, I should have a look. You know, there's a lot of. It's easier like nowadays to like you don't have to read books and stuff. You can just simply go on YouTube and they simplify it so much so that you can all understand, and that's all amazing. You know, like I like how they explained it. I mean, there's not a teacher in my life that can explain it as much as this. They just explained it. He made it interesting, with the animations and stuff. So I really like how they did that. So it's very clear. So yeah, anything else? Any more history moments? Anything like this? Let me know down in the comments. I'll definitely check them out. If you enjoyed this video, let me know what you guys thought about this video down in the comments below. Don't forget to punch that like, man. Don't forget to punch that subscribe button as well, and share this with your friends and family. And you know, be grateful that you have a family. You know, just be grateful for this life that you live. Thanks so much for watching, my little dragons. You're all awesome. Stay home, stay safe, stay blessed, stay awesome, my little dragons, and I will see you all